Good afternoon and welcome to Real Chicks Rock Presents Real Discussions. I am your host, Michelle Dosberg, and as always, I'm super excited to be here. Yay! 'Cause, I got somebody in the studio with me today. It's been a long time since I had somebody here with me, and I'm so excited. Yes, and we're going to get to her in just a second. It is Father's Day. Happy Father's Day. Fathers. Yes. We want to show the same amount of excitement for our fathers as we do for the moms. Thank you, dads, all the dads that are celebrating today. We thank you so much for your sacrifice, your commitment, just loving on your family, your kids. It's just a beautiful day here. It was a lot of storms last night, but the weather has cleared up just a few moments ago. Mm-hmm. And so when I finish today's show, I'm heading down to Centennial Park with Real Men Can Cook.
Yay! Real Men Can Cook.
Real Men Cook. And so we'll be down there serving the men. You know, there'll be a lot of food there. Great opportunity for families to get together. So it's just a beautiful day here in Atlanta. Mm-hmm. But without any further ado, let me just thank all of the new listeners that are checking us out today. Thank you so much for leaning in, spending the afternoon checking us out. Let me give you a little background about what Real Chicks Rock is all about. We are all about creatively collaborating and connecting to raise awareness regarding issues that impact women. And we do it by way of community service, engagement, public speaking, mentoring, workshops, and the media, the arts, which is this platform right here. Today, we are going to talk to some people that love what they do. Yeah, we talk about serious issues from politics to financial wealth and management to education. And then there's a softer side. There's the entertainment side. There are people that I believe that are doing legendary work because they love what they do so much. They're so passionate. And today is no exception. Today, we are talking to people that they just love to tickle the keys, right? These are two musicians that I know that love what they do so much. Here in the studio with me is Tammy Harper, and my other guest is John Adams by Zoom. Hi, John.
Hey, John.
How are you? How are you and everybody?
Yes, we are
doing
good.
Great.
Thank you so much for joining us. Hey, John, I'm going to start with you, and I got a secret that I didn't even tell Tammy. I didn't tell anybody that we are family.
We are
That's right.
That you are my cousin. You are my cousin.
Right on.
Hi, cousin. How you doing, cousin? Tell the people a little bit about yourself, John.
Well, I'm born and raised in the Bronx, but I'm double Jamaican on both sides of the family. Michelle is my cousin from my mother's side, and her aunt. They had the twins run in the family. So there were twins that were my first cousins that didn't survive in Jamaica, but the others, Beverly and Sheila. Sheila is Michelle's mom. Those are twins that came to America, I think, in their early teens.
Yes.
And Beverly is my first piano teacher.
Hi, Auntie Bev.
Yeah. So there was a piano. There was a piano that someone gifted us while we were living in the North Bronx in the Eden Wall projects. And I was about 6, and I think my mother said, he's not banging, he's doing something. It's not just like how kids do like that. So, and also, since my mother is so left-handed and didn't want me to be the same, he said, well, maybe if I have him learn piano, he won't be as left-handed as me. Okay. So at 6, Michelle's aunt, Bev, was my first piano teacher. Yeah. The other thing about the twins thing, Aunt Bev, had 2 sets of twins back to back.
Yeah. So twins run in the family. That is correct, John. So thank you for that. So Tammy, tell the people a little bit about yourself.
All right. Well, I'm from the suburbs of Philadelphia in Bensalem, PA. Right. I've been in Atlanta for now over 30 years. I came here to go to the greatest school in the world, Spelman College. So I'm a proud graduate with a Bachelor of Arts degree in music. And nowadays, I'm a full-time musician and a music executive. So maybe we'll talk more about that later. And a proud mommy to a 14-year-old named Gabby, who's an amazing dancer.
Yeah. So, John, you went to Art and Design High School, right? Did you not?
Yes, I did.
Right. So tell us a little bit about what was it like growing up as a child in your neighborhood. Just kind of set the stage for us and maybe lean in on your musical inspirations during that time.
Well, let's to encapsulate it, I started kindergarten in 1956, 57. So that's only 2 or 3 years after Brown versus education.
Gotcha.
Board of Education. And the projects I was in had an elementary school that was walking distance, like right down the block. But I got bused to school. I got bused to a school that was in another neighborhood in order to take care of that Supreme Court thing. And it was a good school. And so I grew up with everybody. And also, post-World War II and Korean War, the projects weren't necessarily just for black people. It was for people upper middle class, lower middle class, going to move up because they were still the fallacy of moving upward, in society just by doing the right thing,
right.
which I think we can debate that. And so I had Jewish neighbors, I had Italian neighbors, I had Puerto Rican neighbors, and we all went to school together. We played outside, all of that. So moving forward to that school, after I showed some interest with Bev, there was a teacher that came to our school and said, well, I'll teach after school piano. And she didn't have a piano, but she started us on a cardboard thing just to get us to get the fingering. And then I said, well, I got a piano at home, and my mom was, so that teacher, Mrs. Voss, who I don't know what happened to her now, but since that's many years ago, she taught me from until like 1964, 5, so this is like 3-4 years. And I learned to read and to play, but I had a very good ear. So 64, 65, that's the heart of Motown. I'm sorry,
Right.
So I'm in junior high school, John Philip Sousa High School, Junior High School 142, and I started buying records at Alexander's and Fordham Road and everything, and bringing them home and learning to play them.
Wow.
And so that brought me to being able to play with other guys who were starting to be in a band as part of another organization that adults put together to help the youth, called the Youth Leadership Foundation, for which that's how I met Ray Chu. Ray Chu was part of that, but I've known him since he was 6. He's younger than me by about 6 or 7 years. So that organization, that was my first band in 1967.
Wow.
But at the same time, I wanted to be an architect, because when I went to Jamaica, I saw our cousin Victor was in construction, and also someone else that I stayed with was into construction and drafting. So one of my friends on the project that was also part of the organization said, "No, you should come here because you can draw." So I took the exam and was accepted to High School of Art and Design and studied architecture there, and then later graduated from there, took the entrance exam to Cooper Union for architecture.
Wow.
Which is in the Village.
Wow. Awesome stuff, John. Awesome. We're going to talk about more of your experiences with the band in just a moment. Tammy, for you, growing up as a child in your neighborhood, what was that like? And what were some of your musical influences back then?
Well, our neighborhood was a small neighborhood centered around our church, St. Matthew United Methodist Church in Trevose, PA. And it was cool because we lived down the street, and my birth mother, rest in peace, she played the piano and sang. My grandfather, Consuelo Mozart Myers, played the piano and sang.
Mozart
Can you
Myers?
believe that?
That
yes.
was his name?
A black man with the middle name Mozart. Yes.
Wow.
And
he was serious.
Yes.
They knew.
They knew.
Okay.
So it's in my bloodline. So they both played the piano and the organ and sang. And so apparently when my mother passed when I was 3, they said, Tammy's playing the piano. No, she isn't. But apparently I was at 3. And then once I was around 7, that's when I started taking lessons. We had a piano store at the mall. And another lady named Mrs. Dees that lived in the neighborhood. And this cool man that would come to the house and I could play some other kind of stuff. So I just took regular weekly lessons, went through the John Thompson book. And it wasn't until I got to, you remember those, the red books?
The red books.
They were on point. They led the way. And it's so funny because, John, I didn't hardly practice nothing. You know what I mean? Like I just open the book and play. Then one day I got to Spelman College and Dr. Joyce Finch Johnston, and she said, cut those nails and get in the practice room. I still got nails. I'm a rebel. I still play with long fingernails. I cut them when I have classical to play, but then I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm actually practicing 2 hours a day, 7 days a week. So going from 0 with nothingness to 14 hours of practicing classical music. So Dr. Johnston changed my life, and then my musicianship went way, way up. So when I was a child, it was just playing in the church. All of our family, we had a family group called the Third Generation. We came in 3rd place in the Kentucky Fried Chicken Gospel Contest, probably in the early 80s. Can you believe that? We were beat out by a barbershop quartet. Those were grown men beat us out. We were little children. But we were singing in 3-part harmony back then. And so it was really our family choirs, our church choirs, in high school. Doing my thing, still doing music in the course. And then once I got to college, then more formalized training, being in the Spelman College Glee Club. And, just a beautiful life full of music. And that's just up to age 21. And then, of course, the next 30 years after that.
So when you went first...
30 years? You only got 30 years.
Yeah.
Man, I'm going to tell you, brother, I'm 50 years old. Hey!
So Tammy, share with us some of your musical influences when you first started playing the piano.
Well, first it would definitely be my birth mother, even though I was so little. She was one. Her name was Victoria Myers Harper. And my grandpa, Consuelo Mozart Myers. Then once you get into the teenage years, I don't know about you, John, but that's when I started buying sheet music. Even though I had an ear like you, but I wanted to play All This Love the way El DeBarge played it. I wanted to play Ribbon in the Sky the way Stevie played it. And I even bought, it was a song by Rick James. And it was, Ebony Eyes. I don't even remember that from the 80s. So I was buying sheet music so I could play it like them. And I mean, all these years later, I can still play it the same exact way. When I play Ribbon in the Sky, we play... and there was another one by DeBarge, either like Stay This Way or something like that you play them and it sounds exactly like the record because they're pianists who wrote the songs, you know what I mean? So yes, those are some of my early influences. Stevie Wonder, I have an anthology right now. You know those songs in those hard keys, I kind of turn those pages, the hard keys.
Oh, you mean an E flat and D flat and all that kind
of stuff? Yes, I sometimes turn those pages because my brain don't want to do it, but oh my goodness, that anthology, and you just see all that brilliance came right out of Stevie.
That's right.
Song after song after song after song, you know what I mean?
It sounds like for both of you, because you guys can learn music, you guys are trained, I guess, by your ear. So learning the learning a piano, a musical instrument, was not hard for you. Is that a safe assumption? It came natural, John. It just came natural for you, right?
More or less.
Right?
More or less.
Yeah, it was easy. Until I got to college, it felt easy.
It's incredible because most of us, we just don't have that. So it's always a challenge and a struggle. So I want to move a little forward here, especially with you, John, because since we're family, we have some memories, right? And I remember as a kid, and just by the way, I used to play the piano too, not as well as you guys.
Right, because there's a grand piano in the house.
Yeah, we had a piano in the house. Rest in peace, my grandmother, Daphne Alberta Rod, who was like, you're going to learn how to play an instrument. So my sister Joanne played piano, then I played piano, and then I moved on to playing the violin. So I know, but I didn't have the ear for the piano. I just did what I did through the lessons and that type of thing. But John, what I remember... especially with you, is that when we were at your on Alma's house, right, and in the basement, that's where the record playing took place and a lot of dancing took place. And I remember this one time, John, and correct me if I'm wrong, that you pulled out some vinyl, and on it had this asymmetrical design on the cover, a round, a square, and a rectangle, and the name of the group was called Change.
Oh yeah.
You remember that? Give it and fill me in. What did you play a part in that album? If I remember, maybe I'm out of pocket. Tell me why that album was so significant for us that day.
Well, I pulled that out because that had to be at least 1981.
Yes.
Between just to fill in some of the gap between. I left the Cooper Union because I didn't like the way they were teaching, architecture, and they didn't, I didn't fit their program of what they wanted to see. So then at that time they had open enrollment at City College and all the city universities. Okay. So I worked for a little time, and then I went to City College, and my mother thought that I was, that it was a mistake. And she said, "Oh God, you're going to eat pain," because musicians very often starve. But I said, "But Mom, you always told me what I'll do. I can do whatever I put my mind to." So, long story short, I ended up getting Bachelor of Fine Arts in music, and especially in jazz arranging.
Nice.
So I learned to write and arrange for a 20-piece band. Some of whose members are also famous and well known. So by the time I got out of college, I started to tour. I started with a group called Ecstasy, Passion, and Pain.
Yes. Yes.
And because I replaced somebody, and then that brought me to another person's house who had another group whose piano player left, and I brought my gear over to that house, and we practiced, and we finished the record, but it never got released. But because I filled that job well, that ended up, this is 76, 77, that put me to replace that same guy on Broadway in Arms Too Short to Box with God.
Nice.
Awesome.
Brother show. So I ended up being assistant conductor, and I conducted that show 20 times. So moving forward to your thing, there were other groups that we can fill in later, but I had the group Change was that album, the Geometric Shapes. That was what they used to call a producer's record that had different artists, but one concept from the writers. And so Jocelyn Brown was on that record. Then the first record had 2 songs by what's the name went out of my head. Luther Vandross. He sang 2 songs on that record, and they became hits. But he couldn't be the band leader. I mean, he couldn't leave and front that group, so he never did. So they did the second record, and they wanted to put a band together, and I ended up being in the band in '81. In '81, to do that, we opened for Rick James when he had that big record.
That's awesome.
That's man, it's incredible.